Hello humans, today I want to talk about this guy right here. This is a Gerber gator that I picked up at an antique store a couple months ago now. I've had it for quite a while. I've been using it on and off since I got it. Like I said, I got it at an antique store, which inherently does mean that I got it secondhand. So there are some things like I can't speak to how the grind is from factory because it is a little bit different. And just because of age, some of the rubberization on the nylon handle here is slightly tacky. It went away. I put it in the sun for a couple days and that disappeared for me, which was quite nice. But that is something to note just with getting secondhand rubberized nylon or rubberized anything in general, is it kind of becomes a primordial ooze after a while, and this one here had definitely started to do that. Like I said, all of that tackiness is now gone. We're now left with just that very, very slight rubberized gator skin texturing, which is interesting, I suppose, but nothing really to jump on or speak about. So, just overall, this is a budget USA made folding knife with a lockback. Originally came out back in the 90s. It's got 420 blade steel, rubber or nylon, glass reinforced nylon handles with rubberized texturing over the top of it, and a mid-mounted lockback. The only other things of like really interesting note about it are the fact that it has a half stop. You can hear that very distinct. It's more obvious in the outpull. Clicks in, and you can actually, if you watch the lockback, it sinks just a little bit right there, and then you can close. So, there's that. I find that a little bit interesting. It has a saber height hollow grind to it. Gerber logo, made in Portland, Oregon, USA. Does not have blade steel, which would be nice, but like I said, it's not difficult to find. These are actually still made. You can pick them up new from lots of places, and it's still a sub $50 knife, which that's cool. USA made. You don't see that kind of thing very often. Budget space. I think it's interesting. But in terms of comfort, I don't have very many knives in this sort of size and impact that are this comfortable. As you can see, there's quite a bit of I don't know if I can technically call it contouring because the top is flat, but it's very nicely contoured. This is pretty prescriptive. You're going to get one finger in there. If you have really tiny fingers, you might get two fingers in there. But it's not, I don't find it that uncomfortable, especially since this isn't hard enough for me to not be comfortable just sticking like the meat of my ring finger on there if I want to. It's not uncomfortable by any means. From new, these things do have a nylon pocket sheath. I didn't get that with mine. And it does not feature a pocket clip or anything of the like. So in terms of carry, you just drop this in your pocket. It doesn't even have a lanyard loop, which I'm very saddened by. If it doesn't have a pocket clip, I'd like a lanyard hole, loop, barrel, whatever, something I can tie a lanyard on so that I can leave the end of the lanyard hanging out of my pocket and reach in and find it really easily when I'm wearing gloves or just in a situation where I don't want to be rifling through my pockets. The half stop is interesting to me. Generally speaking, half stops are seen as a safety feature on slip joints and other traditionals. A great example being my Buck Rancher, which has not a traditional half stop, but a space of lower pressure, which makes it it sort of stops the blade from dropping onto your fingers, which is quite nice. Fun knife. Anyways, so it's very interesting seeing it on a knife with a lock to it because they're normally seen as something that protects your fingers if you accidentally close the blade whilst twisting or prying or being stupid with the slip joint. So it is interesting. It makes this a very distinctive and unique knife to open. Like if I was blindfolded and somebody handed me this and told me to open it, I would know which knife this is 100% of the time without any difficulty or question. Like this is very, very distinctly the Gerber Gator to me, just because of that opening mechanism, which I think is pretty cool. I vibe with that. You can remove the pivot. You need two screwdrivers in order to do it, which is a little bit weird. But other than that, it's not too bad. The whole thing doesn't disassemble. You just pull the blade out, and then I assume clean it and put the blade back in. I haven't ended up cleaning it since I got it. I haven't felt the need to. Lockup feels completely and utterly solid, even after however many years since this thing was produced. Again, no year markings, nothing like that. Just Gerber, Portland, Oregon, USA. Yeah, very obviously, this is designed to compete with your Buck 110s of the world. They're both a, upper end of a middle-sized knife, clip point blades, hollow grinds, I guess. Different profiled hollow grinds, but they're still both hollow grinds with a lockback. It's a fine knife. It's in the budget category. It's fairly unrivaled to my knowledge if you're looking for something like this, which I think is pretty cool. It's very, very ergonomic. I have no issue with, working on wood or anything like that with it. I actually find it quite comfortable to do, especially, again, for a knife I paid 15 bucks for, right? Like, for 15 bucks, I am overjoyed with something like this. So let's do our size comparisons real quick. Here it is next to the Wee Banter. As you can see, it is quite a bit bigger than the Wee Banter. And the Civivi Chevalier. Line it up. It is bigger than the Civivi Chevalier, but not by tons. And a lot of that extra size is in the handle. If you line up the pivots, there's a little bit there, but it's only like, maybe a 1/4 inch? And then if you go by sharpened edge length, they're pretty much dead even. So that's where that sits between those two. Now, if we're going to do our Buck 110 comparison again, and this time the Buck 110 is ever so slightly longer. We're talking like, I don't know, 3/32 of an inch longer. Like it's not a very significant amount, but there you go. And here it is next to our Zippo, just because that is something everybody has seen. This fits nicely into sort of my medium-sized knives category. It is on the larger end of that, but it is nonetheless a medium-sized knife. In terms of thickness, you can see it is a bit thicker than our Zippo, and very, very comparable in terms of thickness to our 110. It is slightly thicker, but not by much at all. It is quite a bit taller than the Buck 110 is, as you can see right there. And I mean, honestly, it's a pretty nice knife. I do definitely think this is quite recommendable. I don't remember the exact price. I was looking at this a while ago when I first got it, but like brand new for 30 or 40 bucks, whatever it was. I definitely do think this is a good deal. It's comfortable to use for long periods of time. This is evidence that it can last upwards of 10 years, potentially even around 20 years, right? This model's been in production for 30 years, and I can't tell you how old this particular one is. So in terms of that, it's quite nice. I do know that it comes in more than one blade profile. I believe the other one is a drop point blade. I like the clip point more. I'm a clip point guy, but that's just who I am. I like having a little bit of flat. I like having some belly. I like having an easily accessible tip. This level of angle, I guess, curve on the back makes it pretty easy to point and do draw cuts using the tip in particular, which I quite like. Yeah, I do think this is a very, very recommendable knife, and especially if you get lucky like me and find one in an antique store in good condition. I mean, 15 Canadian bucks, which is 10, maybe 12 US bucks, somewhere in there. So it's definitely a nice price at that. Nice knife at that point. I'm not going to qualify this as an ultra budget knife because I did get it secondhand and because it is still in production, but it is absolutely super, super cool. Stay safe and have fun out there. Peace.